How to photobash with stable diffusion. Hello my friends, how are you doing? Yesterday I showed you how to install stable diffusion, how to download the new 1.5 project. Today we're going to do some photobashing with the new Inpainting 1.5 model and some cool tricks. Which means you combine multiple photos to a new artistic scene. All of that is super low skill, easy to do, but very creative at the same time. I'm going to show you where I get the pictures from, where I get the prompts from, and how I combine both of that in a very easy way. So first of all, let's find the images. The first source I have for you is called Unsplash. Most of the images are free. They started to do kind of a bonus thing where sometimes you see here it says Unsplash Plus, so these you have to pay for, but the rest of them are free and you find images for any kind of idea, any kind of subject. Then on Pexels you also can download beautiful photos from all kinds of background. So for this project I have only 3 images. One is of an astronaut from the side looking up into the sky. Then we have here a space shuttle, a kind of rocket starting, really beautiful with these smoke plumes here. There's also kind of a tower here on the side, very nice. And then I wanted to have this kind of desert landscape, looks a little bit like Mars, so that is pretty cool and can give us a good inspiration because we want to use these images as a start. Next, we want to bring these images together. Now, I have a software called Affinity Photo. This makes it a little bit easier because I open up one of the images and then I drag in the next image, for example, here, the astronaut. And what you can do here is on the side here, you have something called a selection brush. With that, as you can see, I can simply brush over these shapes and this is going to create a selection for me. Now, none of this has to be super specific or fine because we are just using this as an inspiration. So when you have made the selection, you can click here on refine if you want to refine the selection a little bit more. Then if you have done that, click here on apply. And then down here, you see this mask icon, you click on that, you can see this has already created a mask. Control D to deselect, so we have our astronaut in here. And then you also drag in your image here with our space rocket starting and you select the sky and the foreground and again make the same thing with the mask process. That's basically it. But if you don't have that software, you can go, for example, for pixlr.com. This is a free software that it runs in your browser. So you can, for example, open up the image here, original resolution, click on apply, and then here you can go for the next layer, image. Let's go for the rocket here. And here, for example, it says cut out. You can go for the brush, remove, set it to a nice size, and then simply start here to paint this in. And you can see when I let go, this is starting to be removed. So simply paint around everything you don't want to have. So you're just kept with the parts you actually want to integrate in your image. As you can see, this is easy peasy done. And then you can simply export that, download it to your hard drive, and then upload it to your local install of Stable Diffusion. I would suggest to you when you export the image to set this to a lower resolution. So for example, if I export this here, I set this to 2000. There we go, is calculating the other side, and then export this. And then you simply drag it into here. You can see we are in the image to image tab on automatic 1111 on image to image. Now the next part is, where do we get the prompt from? Well, first of all, describe the scene you want to have. So I wrote in this case, an astronaut on Mars watching a space rocket. I'm putting these in double round brackets because these are important terms that have to be in the image. So these are getting highlighted. The more round brackets you're using around that, the more important it becomes in the prompt. Let's go on here with the prompt. Launch, smoke and flames from the rocket, mountains in the background. Now the rest of this part, I often go to my secret source, not really secret, it's called lexica.art. By the way, they also now added something where you can generate images with Stable Diffusion. That is pretty cool, but you can also search for any kind of term. You get these images here, and when you click on them, they're going to show you the prompt that was used, the seed that was used, the guidance scale, and the dimension. So all of that is pretty amazing. And you can look in here and say, okay, this part here and that part and this, I like that. I take this as an inspiration to put together my own prompt here. Next, we are coming to the image generation. Now, this is a lot of experimentation, to be honest, but here are some things you need to look into. First of all, click here on crop and resize, because otherwise the image is going to be squished in a strange way, so you don't want to have that. Then you want to use these sliders here, and this is going to give you this kind of red overlay that is showing you how the ratio fits to the ratio of the image you have. So in this case, when I set it to 512 by 768, this gives me the same ratio as my input image, although a different resolution, but that doesn't matter because we can upscale it afterwards. And I would suggest to you to set it to a low resolution where one of the sides is 512 and then the other one is whatever you need to create that ratio. First of all, because that kind of resolution works better with Stable Diffusion, but secondly also because this takes less render time, and in most cases you're going to have a lot of experimentation to create these images. Now next, my way to do this is to try out different sampling methods, different CFG scales, and different denoising strengths. Also, if you have one or multiple faces visible in your image, you want to make a check mark here on Restore Faces. Now the way I'm testing these scales is of course automated. I'm going down here to Script, X epsilon plot, then I select what I want. So you can see here I've tested the CFG scale 8 to 15 and denoise 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 to see what kind of results I'm getting from that and if I like them. When you have found a setting that you like, you can turn this off, and then you set here your seed to random, which is -1, and then you can set the batch size here to 8 and just let it render and see what you get. Because based on the seeds here, the results will be vastly different. So that means you will get very different images, and some of them will be very much what you like and some of them will be not at all what you like, but that is completely okay because you can go have a coffee, come back and just choose the results you enjoy the most. Now you can see from what I have put into my settings, especially with the denoise strength of 0.75, this is rather different than the input image, but for me that is okay because I set this photobashing image here up as an inspiration for the AI so that it gets me the results close to what I want from the scenery, from the setup with the rocket, with the astronaut. All these elements are in here, and then I give the AI the freedom to create different compositions and also create different styles that I can play around with and get some results that I desire. But of course you can go as close to the original image as you want, and you can also invest a lot more time into preparing this source Photobash image here. I did this in a very simple way because I wanted to have something that you can easily replicate even with low skill, even when you are starting out at editing photos together, you can still do this because all you do is creating masks and putting the layers on top of each other. Now, you probably also have realized that I have a very big negative prompt in here. And this is something I got sent by email. I tested it with different kinds of images, and I really think this gives amazing results. I will put this negative prompt in a linked file so you can download it and simply copy it into your input to test it out. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I hope I could inspire you, and see you tomorrow in my live stream. Bye!